All right, today we're ready for lesson 10 part 2, I guess. So I rewrote the essential questions because we still need to answer those. So essential question number 1, what 2 points are always on the graph? So we'll talk about that today. And then 2, how can I look at a graph and determine what my unit rate is? So those are the 2 things that we need to make sure we answer with this video. All right, so we have a graph here to look at. Below is a graph modeling the amount of sugar required to make grandma's chocolate chip cookies. So yesterday was flour, today is sugar. All right, so record the coordinates from the graph in a table. What do these ordered pairs represent? All right, so I have a little table here, X and Y. Remember that this is our X, so sugar is going to be our X and cookies will be our Y. So using some points from our graph, if I go over 2, I'm here and then that's up 3. So 2, 3 is a point on our graph. And let's do one more. This is 4. And then up 6. So 4, 6 is another point on our graph. What does these order pairs represent? Well, the 2, 3 represents 2 cups of sugar to make 3 dozen cookies. I'll have to write smaller next time. Okay, this ordered pair, 4, 6, represents it takes 4 cups of sugar to make 6 dozen cookies. All right, hopefully yours is prettier than mine. All right, so I think that answers A, and there are a few more points on the graph that we could have used and said the same thing. Moving on down to B, Grandma has 1 cup of sugar remaining. How many dozen cookies will she be able to make? And then we'll have to go back up to the top to plot this point on the graph above. So since I want 1 remaining cup, that kind of tells me I'm going to be looking for my unit rate, right? If I want to know how much per cup. So K equals Y over X. And just to remind ourselves, Y was the number of cookies and X is sugar. So if I can get the sugar to be 1, then I'll answer my question. Okay, so let's write that down. Cookies and then sugar. So we want sugar to be 1. All right, so taking this ordered pair, I'm going to fill that in. So I have 3 to 2, which equals, divide by 2, divide by 2. I get 1.5 dozen cookies will take 1 cup of sugar. So our unit rate will be 1.5. K equals 1.5. Now I'm back to the top, to the graph, okay? So if I want a graph where 1 cup of sugar is 1.5 dozen cookies, that is my my unit rate right there, what we just found on B. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 1.5, which will be in between the lines, which hits my line perfectly. Okay, so that's my unit rate represented on my graph. All right, now we're back to the bottom with C. How many dozen cookies can Grandma make if she has no sugar? Well, if she has no sugar, so if Grandma has 0 cups of sugar, comma, she can make 0 dozen cookies. This point is 0, 0, aka the origin. Okay, now we're back at our graph, and the origin was one of our points that they graphed for us. So 0, 0 is in fact a point on our graph, which is always good to be part of the proportionality. Alright, so now I'm back to the very top, or you can go to your homework page. These essential questions are on your homework on page 15. So if you want to write them down there, you'll get your homework points going. Alright, so what 2 points are always on a graph of two quantities that are proportional? Well, the 2 points that, or 1 point that we've already talked about with proportionality was the origin. We've always said it has to go through the origin to be proportional. So that is one of the points. But the other point that we learned about today is the unit rate. Okay, so the unit rate has to be represented on your line. So the unit rate is when x equals 1, and then the y value was representing our k value, but they use an r to represent that. So 1 comma r is representing our unit rate. Alright, so jot that down. It's not a sentence, but it'll work. Alright, the second essential question was, how can you identify the unit rate from a graph? And that is finding where x equals 1. And then that point is the 1r again. Okay, so if you can find where x equals 1, then you can figure out the y value. The y value then is your unit rate. I think that should do it. Thanks for watching.